An organization known as the Human Solution is drawing attention to the number of people that are locked away for life because of selling marijuana. One of those people is a man by the name of James Romans, and he was involved in a drug trafficking ring. He was selling a lot of marijuana. He was not selling it by the pound. According to authorities, he was selling it by the ton. And since the volume was so high, a judge decided to give him a life sentence. Now, he was originally convicted on a lesser charge because they thought that he was selling a smaller amount of marijuana, so he was not given a life sentence. However, there's a federal government sentencing guideline. It was adopted in 1987, and it basically states that if you are selling more than a ton of marijuana or any drug, and if you have guns while you're doing so, well, then a judge can sentence you to life in prison, and that's exactly what happened to him. They had a retrial, and he got a longer sentence as a result. Now, there are as many as 25 people in our prison system right now that are there for selling pot, and they are there for the rest of their lives.
So I don't know who's right or wrong, because the guy claims, of course, that he was selling a lot less pot than the government claims, right? And we're not sure if he was a ringleader or he was some sort of henchman.
A middleman,
right,
yeah.
Right. So, but I don't particularly care that much.
Neither do I.
Right. Because marijuana, first of all, we think should be legal. But second of all, it's not just us. It's the state of Colorado, the state of Washington, and a majority of the American people. So giving somebody a life sentence for selling a substance that we think should be legal borders on the absurd. No, it doesn't border on it, it crosses it. It's totally absurd. So it's a life sentence is the harshest penalty we have, other than obviously execution. It should be reserved for all, I think.
For murder.
Murder, and if you're gonna make a case for like
rape,
you know, the Ariel Castros of the world.
Yes.
You know, you got a couple of people tied up in your basement, right? We're having that conversation about a life sentence. But for selling even a lot of marijuana, or in this case, literally a shit ton of marijuana, right? No, that's not a life sentence. That's crazy that that's a life sentence.
I agree with you, and I worry about the judge who made the ruling, the life sentence ruling. Her name is Marsha Crone, Judge Marsha Crone, and she actually commented on current trends involving marijuana. You know, we have 2 states right now that have legalized marijuana for recreational use. So does that really make sense to lock someone up for life if they were selling that? Well, apparently she doesn't agree with legalizing marijuana, and she's been very vocal about it. She said the following: I don't agree with it, and the federal government hasn't changed the marijuana laws. I think it's misguided the places that have, so I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to look at the trends.
Well, that's really smart as a judge to say, I don't like it. So I'm going to not look at any of the trends that's going on in the world. I don't see it. I don't care, right? My personal opinion is I don't like weed. So this guy, sad day for him, he came across the wrong judge. Life sentence.
Yeah.
She didn't have to give him a life sentence. She chose to give him a life sentence because of her opinions about marijuana.
That's just your opinion, man.
Yeah, well, in that case, it cost the guy his entire life in that he's going to spend it behind bars unless, you know, at some point there's a reprieve. Think about it. Alcohol used to be illegal. Of course, everybody knows this, right? And so if you sold a lot of alcohol, which, by the way, Joseph Kennedy did. Joe Kennedy, you know, the father of JFK, okay, who financed JFK's career, etc. Well, he would have gotten a life sentence, right? And then immediately afterwards, people like Adolf Kors, Mr. Budweiser, whoever he is. There's no such person. Anyway, all those people, Mr. Coors Light, okay, all those people went from a terrible criminal scourge of the earth to upstanding businessmen, right?
Yeah.
So this guy, he just got unlucky. A couple of years later, in another state, he's part of the Chamber of Commerce. But under that state, this time, life sentence.
I know, it's ridiculous. No one should be spending life in prison for any drug-related crime. Unless you murdered someone in the process of attempting to sell drugs, then we're having a different conversation, but that is not what happened here.
Yeah, if he was committed a violent offense, it would be a totally different question.
Yeah.
That is not the fact pattern here, okay? Yeah. So I say, let him go, and also let Senor Corona go.